Hey guys, welcome to Nintendo News. I'm your host Bastian. Let's get on to that first story. And actually, first of all, before we get on to that story, this is going to be a crazy short Nintendo News video because, quite frankly, either I was far too busy playing Wind Waker HD to notice anything big, or there simply was not any interesting Nintendo news this past week, but we'll get on to the two things that caught my eye. The first of which is the fact that there was a rumor quite a while ago that there was going to be a Bayonetta movie, and a lot of people were like, that's ridiculous. Why would there be a movie for a game that's like the one game in a franchise? There was no talk of even there being a sequel at that point. Why would there be a movie for this? But guess what? It turns out there really was, and that movie is coming out, at least in Japan. It's an anime movie, and seems pretty interesting. If you want more details on the Bayonetta movie, there's a link for you down below. Our next story is about Bravely Default. I know I keep talking about this game, maybe more so than most other games that are forthcoming that aren't Nintendo developed, but I'm very excited about it. And basically what it is, in case you're not familiar, Bravely Default is for all intents and purposes a Final Fantasy game, an old school Final Fantasy game. It's almost as if they took 16-bit style Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6, and then did a modern graphic version of it, but the gameplay and everything is extremely, like the tone, the story, is very much like those older Final Fantasy games, and that's where my heart is as far as Final Fantasy goes. After the 16-bit era, couldn't really care less about Final Fantasy, but they sort of noticed that, I think, and have been developing a lot of games that are close to that style. Like, you might remember the 4 Heroes of Light for the Nintendo DS. This game is very similar to 4 Heroes of Light. For all intents and purposes, it could be a sequel. But speaking of sequels, this news post is about the fact that we probably know the names of not just the first sequel, but also the second sequel, because Square-Enix recently trademarked Bravely Second and Bravely Third. Now, these might just be development names. They might not intend for these to be the actual titles of the games, but they're simply trademarking them for some reason. I don't really know why they would if they weren't actually going to use those as titles, but in any case, it shows that they have a lot of faith in this series, and from what I've seen from gameplay videos and the trailers, it's going to be an awesome game once we finally get it over here, which should be happening apparently in early 2014, so I'm very excited about that. But in any case, that's it for this episode of Nintendo News. See you guys tomorrow for some Zelda news. Yes, another Zelda news video. See you then, guys. Bye.